Welcome to the deep dive. Our whole job here is to take these really complex, high-stakes memos and reports and just make them clear so you can see what's coming.
And today, we're focused on a story that is unfolding almost completely in silence in Washington.
Right. It's a critical, high-priority review that could fundamentally change Social Security benefits for millions of Americans. And I think especially for those who really rely on those checks just to cover the basics.
We're calling it the Social Security flip. Our look at the internal documents confirms there's this quiet, really accelerated policy review happening.
And this wasn't just some committee idea.
No, not at all. This was personally triggered by a specific request, a signature from President Trump, and it's targeting three foundational parts of Social Security that have been, well, pretty much untouched for over 40 years.
And the timeline here is what really jumps out. This didn't follow the usual process, the years of public debate. Analysts are saying this just skipped the line entirely. We saw a quote from one SSA insider that I think just nailed it. They said, something just flipped inside the SSA.
And that flip meant policy drafts got fast-tracked. Everything started moving, but behind closed doors. When you see foundational change move that fast and that quietly, you have to pay attention.
It's not just a small tweak.
No, this is re-engineering the bedrock.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to clearly explain what these three mechanisms are, why they're suddenly up for review, and who stands to gain. We're talking current retirees on fixed incomes, disabled workers, and even future beneficiaries.
Let's start with that sense of urgency, because the process itself tells you how important this is politically. This review wasn't just sent through the normal channels. It got labeled high priority by the Senate Finance Committee.
Which is a big deal. That's a category they almost never use unless something is incredibly time-sensitive or politically critical.
All with no public announcement.
It's a real historical anomaly.
Yeah.
I mean, you compare this to the last time we saw changes, the 1983 Social Security Reform Act.
That was everywhere. Months of public fights, commissions, constant media.
Exactly. This is the polar opposite. It's fast, it's centralized, and it's being driven by this stated need to modernize the system before it hits, more financial strain.
So if they're going after parts of the system that haven't been touched since the Reagan administration, what's the problem they're trying to fix? What are these three foundational pieces?
You can think of them as the three big levers of how benefits are distributed. First, there's the cost of living adjustment, or COLA.
How much your check goes up each year.
Right. Second is something called payment prioritization. That's basically who gets paid first if the system is under serious stress.
Okay.
And the third, which is the most innovative and probably controversial one, is a proposal for a dividend redistribution model. It would link external federal money to Social Security payments.
That third one definitely raises some questions. But first, what's the core motivation here? Why this push? Why now?
The documents are pretty clear on the stated concerns. The administration seems to believe the current system is failing. It's not keeping up with real inflation for seniors, it's not protecting the most vulnerable people, and it's not fairly rewarding a lifetime of work in today's economy.
The main driver is really that the system just wasn't built for the kind of inflation pressure we're seeing now.
Precisely.
That makes sense. I mean, you talk to anyone on a fixed income and they'll tell you that. So let's do a deep dive on that first proposal. Recalibrating COLA. Many retirees feel like their COLA increase is almost a joke because it doesn't match what they're actually spending money on.
Well, and that's because the current formula, which has been around forever, uses what's called the CPIW, the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers.
So it's tracking the costs for working people, not retirees.
Exactly. Think about it. That index gives a lot of weight to things like gas prices and transportation costs. Things younger, working people use a lot.
But when you retire, your spending habits completely change.
They shift dramatically. For a senior, most of their money is going to housing, to food, and this is the big one, to massive healthcare and prescription drug costs. The CPIW just doesn't capture that pressure well at all.
And that's why you get that feeling where inflation feels like it's at 5%, but your benefit only goes up, say, 2.5%.
Yeah. So what Trump's team is looking at is a different CLA formula. We saw a quote from SSA analyst Dr. Emily Carter, who said the goal is a recalibration that aligns increases with lived economic conditions rather than outdated formulas.
Lived economic conditions. So that means moving away from a general one-size-fits-all number.
And moving toward one that specifically targets the inflation that seniors are actually feeling.
So if they actually started tracking, say, regional health insurance costs or the price of assisted living,
Yeah.
the increases could be a lot higher and much more targeted.
That's the whole idea. It shifts the focus. It would mean higher benefits are going to the people who need that purchasing power the most, because that's where inflation is hitting the hardest.
Okay, so that covers how much money people get. Let's talk about when they get it. This next one is payment prioritization. I think most of us just assume if the government owes you money, you get paid.
Right, but this proposal is about what happens in a crisis. It's a philosophical change about who is most essential to pay first during, say, a severe economic downturn or some kind of major administrative delay.
And how is it a major shift?
The current rules are rigid. The new idea is pretty radical because it's built around vulnerability, not status. If this goes through, lower-income retirees, disabled workers, and people on SSI will be moved into a higher priority tier.
Okay, wait, let's pause there because that's important. For anyone listening who might not know the difference, what's the distinction between SSI and SSDI? People mix them up all the time.
And that's crucial for understanding this. So SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, that's for people who worked long enough and paid into the system, but now they're disabled.
So they have a work history.
Correct. SSI, or Supplemental Security Income, is different. It's a needs-based program. It's for the aged, blind, and disabled who have very little income and resources. It's really designed as a poverty safety net.
Got it. So this proposal isn't just about prioritizing former workers who became disabled. It's about explicitly prioritizing the most economically fragile citizens first, the ones on SSI who rely on that absolute minimum safety net.
You've got it. This model would secure those people first during any kind of instability. It's a huge change. It prioritizes human need over your contribution history when the system is under duress.
Which brings us to the third one, and this feels like the most complex, maybe the most risky, the dividend redistribution model. You're talking about linking Social Security to external government money. How would that even work?
The framework suggests a new funding pool, completely separate from payroll taxes. It would be sourced from things like excess tariff revenue, penalties paid by corporations, and certain federal surpluses.
So it's basically a supplemental fund.
Yes, and that pool would be used to boost Social Security payments, but only for certain selected groups.
That sounds great in theory, like a safety valve. But those funding sources you mentioned, tariffs, corporate penalties, they're notoriously volatile, right?
That's the big question economists are asking, the reliability risk.
What happens if trade policy changes or there's a global recession? You're tying retirement checks to unpredictable political income. Isn't that dangerous?
The proponents argue that it's only meant for supplemental payments, sort of like a buffer or a bonus, not the core benefit. But there's a key phrase in the memo that suggests a much bigger long-term plan. It says these adjustments would shift benefit distribution patterns in unprecedented ways.
Okay, and when you hear a phrase like that, it suggests the core structure, the one funded by payroll taxes, isn't sacred anymore.
Right. It suggests the government is looking for permanent ways to subsidize the system with non-traditional money. It's signaling a comprehensive rewrite, treating Social Security not just as earned insurance, but as a tool for targeted financial support.
All right, let's get to the bottom line for people. Let's talk about the analysis of who the winners are and who might face what the memo calls recalibrated expectations. Who benefits most from all this?
The internal analysis is very, very clear on this. The biggest potential winners are fixed-income seniors who are currently earning under about $32,000 a year.
Okay.
This is the group, as we discussed, that's getting hammered by medical and housing inflation. Under this revised GLA, they could see yearly adjustments that are 3 to 6% higher than what everyone else gets.
Wow, 3 to 6% higher every year, is it? That's life-changing for someone on a really tight budget.
Right.
What about people on SSI and SSDI?
They're big winners under the prioritization model. They get moved into what the policy is calling a protective tier.
Which means they get paid first in a crisis.
Yes, but not just that. The memo also suggests they could get early inflation adjustments in the first quarter of the year ahead of schedule if inflation is high. It's basically a redistribution of financial stability to shield the most vulnerable first.
So now for the twist, as they call it, which affects higher earners. If this new money is being aimed at the most vulnerable, does that mean smaller gains for people who earned more?
That is what the analysis suggests, yes. High-earning beneficiaries, or people with a lot of other retirement savings, they're listed at the bottom of the priority list for these new supplemental payments.
And the memo avoids words like cuts.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
The term it uses is recalibrated expectations.
Recalibrated expectations. Let's translate that for everyone listening. What does that actually mean in practice?
It means a softer growth curve for those high-income folks, especially when it comes to any extra payments from that external revenue. Your base benefit is still there, but any bonuses or bigger COLA adjustments are heavily targeted towards the lower income tiers.
So the whole point is to move away from this one-size-fits-all system.
Exactly. And to create entirely new tiers of benefit distribution based on your current economic vulnerability, not just on your lifetime earnings. The system is potentially shifting from a purely transactional insurance model to a tailored economic protection model.
Where what you paid in still matters, of course, but your current financial need dictates how fast your benefit grows and how secure it is.
That's the core of this whole change.
Yeah.
And we have to stress, this is not just a theory. The schedule attached to President Trump's request shows real urgent movement. The Social Security Administration has to submit a preliminary readiness report in the next 60 days.
60 days. That confirms this isn't just a discussion. Analysts are modeling these scenarios right now. So what should people be looking for once that report is filed?
Once that readiness report gets to the Senate, you should start watching for what we're calling early indicators on your own SSA portal online.
What kind of things?
It could be anything. New tabs, maybe new notifications, changes to eligibility information that hint at these new structures. Just staying informed about your own status, your benefits, your filing history. It's like a shield against being surprised.
And if this all gets approved, we understand the rollout is planned in 3 phases.
That's right. Phase 1 would likely be the COLA recalculation for low-income seniors. Phase 2 would be setting up that new payment prioritization structure to protect vulnerable groups.
And phase 3?
Phase 3 would be introducing the dividend redistribution model. But that one, again, really depends on if those external revenue sources actually meet their projections.
So the bottom line here as we wrap up is that foundational changes are being worked on right now. You won't wake up tomorrow and your Social Security check will be different.
No, not at all.
But the machinery underneath it all, the rules that govern how your benefits grow and how secure they are in a crisis, that's what's being rewritten.
Absolutely. We're in a rare moment where you have presidential influence, serious economic pressure, and policy innovation all colliding. These changes aren't small. They are designed to fundamentally readjust who is protected in our current economy.
So our final guidance to you is to really focus on your own awareness. Take a few minutes today, log into your SSA account, look up your current benefit amount, check your earnings record. If these new benefit tiers get created, the people who understand their own status will be the first ones to take advantage of new benefits or at least understand what's happening.
And here's the thought I'll leave you with. If this new CLA model is really going to focus on lived economic conditions, what non-traditional things will the SSA start tracking?
That's a great question.
Will they be monitoring regional healthcare costs, the price of a specific basket of groceries, local rent prices, and more importantly, how fast will the government need to collect and use that data to actually help the people with the tightest financial margins? The speed of the data will really dictate the speed of your protection.